up? What's up? Good to see you, man. Right. Good. Take the crew. Right. Ricky, Erin, Marie, coordinating. All right. Ready for this? Let's do it. You ready? It's gonna, let's say, bold. Hey, but that's how it's different. Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's true.
It was high on the moon, drunk on the rain. I heard every small creature singing your name. Well, you're damned if you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just sit there, the pain do its worst. Through all these great unknowns, through all these battles, the shattered, the gone. Let it be said that I never left you alone. So I'm here with you now, high on the moon. It's frozen in time, stars in the sky. I heard every dog whisper, telling me why. Well, I fall, then it's true, the best losers do. And I'd be pretending thought I had to all these great unknowns, to all these battles, the shattered, the gone. Let it be said that I never left you alone. Here with you now, high on the moon, high on the moon. Here with you now, won't let you down. I was high on the moon, drunk on the rain. I heard every small creature singing your name.
So, dubbed a musical nomad by the Huffington Post, dubbed one of NPR's top new artists at South by Southwest, Kail Baxley.
It's a lot of dubs. This is called No Dubs.
Welcome to No Dubs. I was just you're one pun ahead of me. So, lots of interesting things I want to talk about because before this interview, I've known who you are, and I'm a big fan of your music. Before we get to the super interesting stuff, this will be a treat for me, by the way. Where do you hail from? That is not listed on your website, I don't think.
Really, I didn't actually put the website together, so
Oh, you didn't.
I'll have to look into that.
Somebody is fired.
Jesus. I grew up in a really small town in South Carolina called Williston.
Williston.
Yeah, it's about 3,000 people at this point. It's
wow.
Kind of in the swamp country of South Carolina.
Do you pull from that area, that environment, that past in your writing?
Probably unintentionally. I think there's a filter of where we come from and everything we do, whether we want it to be or not. It's there. So I embrace it and kind of just write the things that come to me.
Right, yeah.
I don't ever try to force anything.
When did you actually arrive to Los Angeles, and why?
I've been in Los Angeles for almost a decade now.
Yeah?
Yeah, a long time. I came here I first wanted to write songs for people. I never was a performer. And I thought maybe I could score film or something. And I knew this was the hardest place to make it. So I knew that if I wanted to test myself and to see if I was, if I really meant what I thought I meant in my head, then I wanted to go to the toughest place to make it so that I would know if I was really on the right path or not.
Yeah.
There's like, with this type of career, with this pursuit in art, you have to be 1,000% or not at all, because it's not often going to pay.
Right.
You can't expect money and riches from it. You can expect fulfillment and the art that you create and bringing your ideas to fruition. So if you think that you want to live that life and dedicate your life to that, you have to be willing possibly not to make very much money at it, and you have to do it all the time. Like Picasso painted all the time.
Yep.
Van Gogh painted all the time. It has to be an obsession.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah, and getting to the place of obsession, it doesn't happen right out of the gate for everyone, because life happens. You have to pay rent. You have to eat. So my first few years in Los Angeles were hard. I worked shitty jobs just so I could pay rent in a shitty place that I didn't want to live, and I didn't have time to even come out here to work on the craft that I came out here for. So
there was a bit of a stale period then?
Yeah, it was proving grounds, and that's what I came here for, though. I came here to prove to myself. Yeah, and here we are 10 years later, and I'm paying the rent with music, so it's kind of cool.
Not everybody can say that.
Yeah. I moved out here, and I couldn't get a job to save my life. I finally got a job demoing concrete, and I was sleeping in my Jeep Cherokee, and that wasn't enough for me to save up to get first and last month rent somewhere.
Sure.
So I took another job at a place, this dive bar in the valley. I met a guy called Paige Hamilton, who was the lead singer and guitarist for a band called Helmet. And he would just come into the bar and sit right in front of my station when I was working, and we sparked up a friendship. I had no idea who he was for months. And then we started talking about music, and he said, why don't you get a loan? Like, get a loan for school.
That's interesting advice.
You should go to school.
Oh, school's great advice.
And you get a loan. And I'm like, I don't know if school's for me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, it's not just the school. It's the fact that you get money to take care of your living expenses for a little bit, and then you can actually devote your time to your craft.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, you're not. And you got something there that you should pursue. You came out here to do this thing. So, long story short, that's exactly what I did. And from that, I bought an RV. Instead of buying first and last month, I bought an RV. I parked it on Selma Boulevard. I recorded enough demos at the school to get the attention of this producer, who convinced me to do like a full record. And then from that full record, got picked up by NPR and kind of sparked the path, so to speak.
Wow. Now, did you expect that sort of
No,
downhill snowball effect in a good way?
it's been a slow downhill. For me, it's been a nice, even trajectory.
Okay.
I don't know how I would deal with, superstar status right out of
Yeah.
the gate. I don't think anyone that wants to create their own music in the way that they want to do it can do that. The way the music industry's set up,
That's very true.
they come after you because they like what you do, and then they want to change it.
Mm-hmm. Which goes back to what you were saying before. You got to do this via an obsession almost.
Yeah. And why would you give up the very thing that drives you to fit in a box that someone can sell?
For the sake of the box.
Yeah. My situation is I've never had much money to put behind anything, and it takes money. When you realize how the game works, it does take money, or it takes calculating your steps
Mm-hmm.
as precisely as possible to get the maximum impact. I think it fell into the hands of WXPN over there, and from that, like David Dye and those guys over at NPR.
Sure, yeah.
And they were great. I didn't expect anything from the record. I'd never put a record out. Put like a very small PR campaign together, and then I played as much as I could, and you do a record cycle, and then it was time for another record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything is like a gradual step, hopefully upwards. Sometimes it's not, and you have to be ready for those too. You can't write music for other people. As soon as you start doing that, you lose the magic. I mean, there's countless bands that came out and made a couple of good records, and then they got caught up in the record label sausage factory, I've heard it called, where they just squeeze the goodness out of it. You start writing for things that you think people would like. You start writing for, God forbid, arenas. Like, you want those big sing-along songs.
Pumping bass.
And it's, for me, it's not for me. I mean, luckily we're at a place now where I guess everybody can kind of do them. If that's you, do you. I can't sit down and write a formulaic song. That's just not how I roll. I kind of sit down with a feeling, and then lyrics or song kind of emerges from that. Or I'll just hear it like some kind of weird internal radio, and then grab a piece and then build something around that. And it's the only way that I can kind of get it off of my chest, and I feel better.
Yeah, and if you're a poet about it, something becomes beautiful.
Well, it's like Bukowski said, there's got to be something in every line. It's got to be something at every turn, or what's the point in the race?
Yeah. The sound of almost every song that I've heard of your vocals, they have this, the word I'm going to choose is haunting. And that's, sure, maybe some effects and some reverb and some doubles and so on, but when you combine that with what you're actually saying and the tonality of your voice, like those things are all like Goldilocks zones. You hear that when people talk about, Earth planets and a little too much of this, a little too much of that, right? You want it to be like right there. I mean, is that stuff calculated? Because it sounds extremely natural. And that's.
I think it's naturally calculated. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A song has a life of its own, and what you want to do is dress it up as best as you can before you let it out into the world, and that's all that is.
So then, do you have any idea what the next step is right now? Can you define it? Maybe another record, another single?
For me, it all works in record cycles now.
Okay.
Like that, I think that's what most musicians. I think that's how they live. Singer-songwriters at least.
Indeed.
Bands too. I mean, bands are singer-songwriters. I always just wanted a band. I never wanted to be a singer-songwriter. I hate the title, but whatever. It is what it is. It's just music. I think that you put a record out and you work it on all the steps as much as you can. You tour it, you do a campaign behind it, and then you go back to the drawing board and you put another one together. And that's where I'm at now. I have another record written, and
Oh, it's already written.
Yeah, it's done.
Excellent.
We're in mixing now, and
All right.
I'm like next record. Like the next
Gotcha.
record, I think I'm really gonna do just like something by myself, like a solo acoustic thing.
Yeah, like I'm pro next record.
Yeah, but it could change. It could change.
Yeah.
Driving home, you know, it's like you gotta go where the muse takes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Cheers. I am finished.
Wow. Well.
Tell us where we can find you and your music. For those of you who don't know.
Any of the platforms. Spotify's been really good to us.
First and last name, just
Yeah, first and last name.
Great.
Plug it into the interweb.
cool.
The interweb.
Mr. Baxley,
Yeah. Cheers, man.
pleasure.
Thank you. All right.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Awesome. Great job. That was great.
Boy,